Hi, everyone. My name is Ron Bay Jr. This is Pondering God again. And today's episode is titled The Creator. As I sat on my patio recently, I just observed a lot of the things around me, the trees and the grass and the sunshine and the blue sky and the clouds and the flowers. And I thought about the Creator. Where did all this stuff come from? And it reminded me of some verses from Scripture, how it came into being and why it came into being. And then I thought about the comparison between the creator of all these things and mankind and the things that we try to create. But first, going back to Genesis, it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, 'Let there be light.' And there was light. And God saw the light was good. God separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day." And then Genesis goes on to describe some of the other things that God created, animals and vegetation, those types of things. In Psalm 33, verse 6, it says, "By the word of the Lord the heavens were made, and by the breath of his mouth all their hosts." So God, the Creator, spoke all these things into being. And I was looking at a tree. I don't know why I picked on the tree, but the tree was right there in front of me. And I looked at the bark of the tree and the branches and the leaves on the tree, and I thought, which man, who, what man can create that? Can we create a tree? The answer is no. We've created artificial trees. At Christmas time, we have artificial Christmas trees, but they pale in comparison to that spruce tree in my neighbor's yard over here, that 40-foot tall spruce tree, that magnificent creation of God. And these creations are all over the place. They're all around us. And so I went back to another scripture that says this about God and his creation. It's from Colossians 1, verse 16. So it says, "For by him all things were created." This is talking about Jesus. "In heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities, all things were created through him and for him." So mankind, we think we're pretty smart, but we only get our intelligence from the Creator that created us. But we are smart, and we do create a lot of things, but we can't create a tree, and we can't create grass. Oh, we create artificial turf. It's artificial. It's a poor substitute. We create artificial trees. We create a lot of artificial things. And now we have artificial intelligence that's on our computers, on our phones. We've created computers. We've created the internet, all these things we've created. But again, they're nothing in comparison to what God has created. And I wonder why we get so full of ourselves when we create these things, and what's our aim. So the next thing to be created, and it's on its way, and some of it's being created as I speak, but artificial man. So artificial beings are being created. But even the artificial beings that will be created by man are a poor substitute for the real thing. And they are only a reflection of the one that created them, which is man. And man has been created by God. So you can see there's a secondary element added to that mixture. God creates man and man creates man. So that particular creation, when it comes about in full force, will be limited, and it will be a poor substitute for the original, which is us. So I thought about that, and I thought about God and his creation. And as I was sitting on the patio yesterday, I noticed as I was watering the flowers a little bit later, the bumblebees. There were two bumblebees in the phlox flowers over by the patio, and they were moving in and out of the flower blossoms to get their nectar. And I just stared at them and wondered, what man can create a bumblebee? We have a lot of flying objects that we've created, airplanes and rockets and things like this, but none of them are shaped like a bumblebee, because they probably wouldn't fly if they were. But God created the bumblebee, and he created the food for the bumblebee in that phlox flower. So we have uh, a lot of hubris to believe that we can duplicate what God has created. We try and we aim to do these things, but we're going to fall far short of His creation. I think the best thing for us to do is to remember the Creator and what He's created, and remember that we cannot duplicate what God has done. From the tides that go in and out of the ocean, from the moon in the sky at night, God has placed all these things there. He's created all these things by the word of His mouth, and we cannot duplicate that. We're mere human beings. So enjoy nature as you go out and look at it and realize where it comes from, and realize that we cannot duplicate that, as try as we may. And it's relieving and joyful to know that God created all these things and put us here to enjoy it. So thank you again for being with me today, pondering God with me, and I look forward to the next episode. Have a great day.